Good day to all of you watching Agenda. Welcome to the program. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, welcoming you on this 27th day of May 2022. It's a Friday. I do hope that you are all looking forward to the weekend. And today, we may have topics that you could actually put into work or apply for the weekend, because today we are going to give you a primer on urban farming. A lot of people have been talking about farming, about urban farming, but the approach has always been like Jack and the Beanstalk, meaning they give you seeds, go plant. And, a lot of people don't know the first thing about planting. So we have reached out to our friends from Harvest. They're one of the country's top suppliers for urban and commercial farming needs. And their representative, Bambi Barcelona, is going to give us a briefing or an introduction to urban farming, meaning if you are a plantita, or just want to plant vegetables in your roof deck, in your backyard, or in front of your house in containers, listen in, because she may have tips for you. Then we will once again be bringing back the representative of Mamacita Foundation, none other than Alvin Lim, because our first interview with them was so short, we ran out of time, that we want to talk to them about the history of culinary practices in the Philippines and the company. Because yesterday I was discussing vegetarian lifestyle, plant-based lifestyle with our friend Christine Tamayo, and well, not friend naman, naki-friend bigla, but our resource person, Christine Tamayo. And it occurred to me that many Filipinos, modern day Filipinos, especially the young ones, no longer understand or appreciate slow cooking, intentional cooking, and the art of cooking. So it's all fast food, fast cook, or just microwave. So we will discuss that. But in the meantime, let's start the day with our daily starter. And I think this is going to be a hit on me because our daily starter goes: if you can't love a dog like a family member, don't get one. Okay, and I guess it applies not only to dogs, cats, or pets, but also to humans. Okay, if you can't love someone or a pet or a dog, don't get one. There are many of us who get animals, pets, or enter into relationships, but we are not responsible enough in sustaining that relationship, whether it's a human being or with a pet. So I'm just bringing that there because it's a good reminder. We take animals for granted. I'm guilty of that because to me, I've always been raised with the mentality that dogs are for work. Working dogs are for security, etc. But dogs also need love, and so do all the other pets or even people in your life. Okay, excuse me. Now, let's now go to the front page of the Philippine Star, Friday, May 27. Gusto ko lang gawing December, no? The front page, the headline, Marcos economic team takes shape, and the reviews are very positive. Benjamin Jokno, who is currently Bangko Sentral of the Philippines governor, will be taking over the position of Secretary of Finance from my mind is wandering. Okay, we'll be taking over the job of Secretary of Finance, and then Alfredo Pascual will be taking over at the DTI. Felipe Medalla will be taking over as Central Bank Governor, and Manny Bonoan will be the next DPWH Secretary. Meanwhile, at the top of the front page, we have COMELEC proclaims 55 winning party list groups. While protection of Philippine sea rights was vowed by presumptive President Bongbong Marcos, who also in the same interview with select reporters, no more corrupt practices in government. And then the 17th Philippine president hopes for honeymoon period with Congress and presumably with the media. Okay. After that, we have a photo of President Duterte joining envoys as he listens to Apostolic Nuncio Charles John Brown speak during a reception for ambassadors at Malacanang. Rodi may be BBM's anti-drug czar if he wants the position. According to Bongbong Marcos, President Rodrigo Duterte is welcome to stay in the fold of government, national government, as the anti-drug czar. Meanwhile, a Pinoy scientist won the United Nations Award for Disaster Risk Reduction after putting together or assembling the Climate Smart Philippines program. Okay. And then fuel tax suspension needs further study according to BBM, because his question is, what will it benefit the government? What will the government get in return if the fuel tax is suspended? And last but not the least, sad reality, Senator Grace Poe and members of the family and friends have laid to rest Susan Roses, the matriarch of the family, at the Manila North Cemetery. And that is the front page of the Philippine Star. Let's now go to our first interview for the day. We have with us Vice President of Urban Retail of Harvest Agribusiness Corporation, none other than Bambi Barcelona. She is the Vice President for Retail. Also, she was Executive Assistant to the President and graduated in Ateneo de Manila University with Bachelor of Science degree. Okay, now Bambi, welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning, Cito, and good morning to all your viewers today.
Okay, I think you heard it in my intro where I pointed out everyone keeps talking about urban farming. Even the government talks about urban farming. Half of the people don't understand what the concept of urban farming is. There's so many, people talk about container farming. They're talking about backyard garden farming. But it has essentially been, bili ka ng buto, bili ka ng buy seed pack and plant, and people are going like, and then what? So maybe you could give us guidance regarding urban farming.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that is something that we have observed over time, not just for urban farming, but also for the farmers in the provinces, etc., na binibigay lang sa kanila yung mga materyales, pero hindi po tinuturuan paano magtanim. So that's one of the things that we have been very adamant about doing, is teaching people the proper skill sets that they need in order to grow quality produce. Because the problem is there's a lack of education. Yun talaga yun. Mm-hmm. Tapos yung kailangan ngayon is kung pares mo high quality material, high quality seeds, if hindi marunong magtanim ang farmer, ang gardener, sayang din ang buto. So yeah, we are very adamant about sharing our knowledge about farming, about gardening. It's not just about getting the item and then that's it. No? So what we do is we teach people how to urban garden or urban farm in spaces that they already have. Sometimes it's balconies, sometimes it's empty lots or vertical gardening. So it doesn't mean that if you're in the city, hindi ka na pwede magtanim. That's a misconception. A lot of people we saw during the pandemic actually turned to farming or gardening as a form of therapy. And they saw that growing their own food had so much benefits. It has health benefits because one, you know what inputs you're putting into your growing your crops, and then two, you're also aware of parang what you're eating na, because when you plant, you don't just plant whatever, no, you have to plant what you want to eat, or you want to plant what the market demands. If you're doing it as a business, for example, you have to know what the market wants. Otherwise, you're planting for no reason, no one is going to buy the produce. So you have to plan it out. You have to plan out what you want to plant, what you want to eat, what the market demands.
Mhm. Okay, now what are the first steps that an individual or any family or person should take? Because some people will say, "Nako, 2 square meters lang ang spasyo ko." Some people, I have seen efforts even in the depressed communities. They actually get Coke bottles or soft drinks bottles. They cut them and they nail them to walls of mga paleta. And sabi ko, mabuti pa itong mga taon to. They're smart enough to recycle and actually plant. What are your tips for would-be urban farmers?
Okay, it's not as simple as just starting a garden or a farm. You have to consider a lot of elements first. Does your space have sunlight? Does your space have access to water? Does your space have proper airflow? Because all of these are crucial in the growing of the plant. So these are the basic things that you need to first know if your space can handle it. Second is, perfect thing that you said, you don't actually need to spend a lot in order to start. Some people, they like to go in really like hard na. They spend so much on the greenhouse, but they don't know how to plant. So first is, like I said a while ago, you have to educate yourself. Second, because if you don't know how to plant, there's no point. Second is, you have to make sure that the space that you're using is it can be for your planting. No, you have to have the sunlight, water, the air. And then if you're planting on the ground, you have to make sure that your soil, kasi nasa city tayo, wala siyang mga toxic chemicals na existing. Test the soil first. If not, you can also do urban container gardening, which is popular right now, because if you have a space like a balcony, you can use containers instead of planting on the ground that you don't have. And then make sure also, or you can actually grow a lot of things with containers. You can grow corn, you can grow papaya, etc. So whatever you like to eat, possible po siya na sa container mo i-grow. Yung upcycling naman, it's like you don't have to buy expensive pots. You don't have to use these things. You can just use whatever you have at home and upcycle them. Like you said, a lot of people use 1.5-liter bottle, PET bottles, and then they use that as their pots. Just make sure if you do that, you put the hole in the bottom para there's proper drainage. And then after that, you can also recycle or upcycle mga paleta before, yung mga paleta na pwede i-construct to make into like a planting bed. You can also upcycle yung mga old jeans ninyo. We have seen people who have used old jeans to plant in. And there's several, like old wheels, etc. All of these are possible things that you can use. You don't have to spend so much at first. Learn first.
Bambi, let's go to sunlight, because you mentioned the word rooftop, and other people are confused by this because some people assume na pag may araw, if there is sunlight, it's perfect, and then all the plants are dead. They've been burned to a crisp.
Yeah. Actually, that's also one of the things that we teach. Kasi there are so many aspects to gardening and farming. It's not just about you have a space and that's it. So if you're going to plant in the roof deck, like what we did, we actually started a roof deck garden in our office in Pasig. we had to construct a greenhouse talaga for that and put shade net to protect the plants from over or excessive sunlight that may harm it. And then you also have the greenhouse netting to protect your plants from pests and diseases. So this is extra cost, but it's necessary if you're doing this as a business, especially, or if you want to grow for home consumption.
Okay, because shade net you mentioned, dahil I actually copied your father's project, your that rooftop garden, and I have gone through so many versions. It works. It's true what you said. I even planted bananas on the roof deck in big drums. I planted papaya, etc. And at the end of after three cycles, I said, this is crazy. I need to do this correctly. So you're right there. People don't understand that plants don't need so much sunlight, especially in the city, because in the city it's so hot that sunlight and the ambient temperature can actually hurt the plants. So what about water?
Well,
because the difference between living in Batangas, for instance, where I draw water from the ground, versus urban water, I've discovered that it's worlds apart.
Actually, if you're living in the city, kasi you have to also. We're lucky because andun na yung tap. You can just connect your sprinkler or whatever, and you have access to water. It's so different kasi in the province, you don't even know if, for example, you're lucky if you have a creek, you're lucky if you have flow of water there. But then, in the city, you have access. You have access to water. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to purify or do all of that stuff to your water. It's not necessary because the tap water actually has minerals. So okay na po yun for your plants. And also, because we're talking about water already, just a reminder for people, don't forget to water your plants. And sometimes they think once a day is enough already. You have to actually check your soil. Kasi again, it's super hot in the city. So, nagda-dry up na yung soil maybe half day pa lang. So, kailangan talaga nakatutok na okay pa yung soil mo. If dried out na, you still have to water again. You have to just, you have to really be there because plants are like people. They need to be taken care of. They need proper nutrition. They need water. They need all these things to grow. So it's best if hindi ka parang yung weekend farmer lang, weekend gardener lang. Dapat everyday po nakatutok kayo sa mga tanim ninyo.
Okay. Now, what are your other tips or suggestions for those? Because I think in the next 6 to 12 months, a lot of people are going to benefit if they already have an ongoing garden or urban farm because it will cut the cost of their food and also guarantee they have supply because everybody is now talking about potential food shortages worldwide.
Right. You know what? The reason why I even really got into urban gardening was because when the pandemic started, I was so shocked to see that it was crazy in the supermarket. People were hoarding food and the first things to go were the fresh produce, the canned goods, etc. So there was a sense of panic kasi we didn't know where the food would be coming from. So kailangan talaga we learn how to grow our own food because this is a basic need and this is a skill that should be taught to kids. And at any age you can begin to farm or garden, diba? So yung importante lang is don't stop yourself kasi some people will say wala po akong green thumb, di ko kaya yon. But actually nobody starts with a green thumb. Everyone has to learn the process and it's always a trial and error. So the difference is your mentality. How are you going to go about it? Because if you're not going to want to put in the effort, it's really no use. But if you go into it and say, I can do this, I can grow something, definitely something will fruit from it. But don't expect it to be an easy outcome sort of situation. For beginners, I usually recommend they start with leafy vegetables kasi ito po yung pinaka madaling mag-grow. 4 weeks pa lang, pwede mo na siya i-harvest. And then kitang-kita mo na yung process after a few weeks, nag-grow na yung mga sprouts. So it encourages the person. So I feel like right now, what's lacking is inspiration. Why do we want to farm? How do we inspire people and make them enthusiastic about growing their own food? I think that is still lacking, and we need to work on that one. But yeah, it's important, as you said, because everybody eats. If you don't know how to grow your own food and you're dependent on imports, you're dependent on food coming in from the provinces, tapos bigla na lang naka-lockdown. And then people are wondering, where am I gonna get my food? It's heart-wrenching and sad.
Bambi, you mentioned, let's go to the plants themselves or the vegetables themselves. What leafy vegetables are the easiest to raise and the most popular?
Leafy vegetables are generally all easy to raise. It depends on your preference. What do you like to eat? I cannot dictate kasi ano
No, but I mean, as far as your business or your stores are concerned, ano yung mga popular and people say, kasi ang dali, that's why we buy this.
Usually there's kangkong, lettuce. These are the more popular leafy vegetables that people like to buy. There's also the pechay, mustasa, if you're into that, romaine, okay din. So yeah, these are the popular ones because you see it often also in restaurants. You are able to cook it easily. Yun po yung popular.
Okay, now as far as my experience is concerned, pechay, ibato mo lang sa lupa, tumutubo. Kangkong, same thing. Yeah. So you're correct there. Now, I've also had very good success with talong or eggplant and also with okra.
Okay.
Now, I think, but people will say, yeah, but where do we get the planting material? Because I think that's where people get mixed up. They think that they have to buy their soil specially packaged, etc., etc. What are the step-by-step things you could tell them regarding soil or the planting bed?
Okay, if you're doing container gardening, it's best if you get like soilless medium or potting medium. The reason why we encourage this is because if you're planting directly on the ground, you don't know what diseases are currently existing on the ground. You have to get that tested. But if you're using something like soilless potting medium, it's as easy as just buying the sack, putting it into the pot, and then sowing your seed directly. And you're ensured that there's no pest, there's no disease. So that one is what I would recommend. But you don't have to always do that. No, you can also get garden soil. You can plant with garden soil. I think you have to really test first. Test your soil.
How do you do that? How can people test the soil? Do they get a sample, go to some laboratory, or are there kits that you sell?
Actually, we sell pH soil meters to test the acidity or if the soil is okay, balance, etc. For planting. But then you can actually go as far as getting a sample of soil and having it tested. If you really want to do it for business, for example, and you bought a plot of land, you don't know the quality of the soil that the land has, that's the first step that you actually need to do, is to get the soil tested and see if it's conducive for growing. Because plants absorb whatever is in the environment. That's why we also don't recommend that you plant maybe beside a busy road, because the pollutants get absorbed by the plant, you consume the plant, it's it's in your body, right? So you want to do it as clean as possible for city growing. Always choose an area that is more far away from the roadside or busy streets, etc. And then use soilless mediums, and then choose also the proper containers for the food that you're trying to grow, because some vegetables, for example, require deeper pots for the roots to grow down. If you're using or if you're growing like leafy vegetables, for example, you don't need such a deep pot. If you're growing tomatoes, if you're growing what you call this, yung mga solanaceous plants, eggplants, you need a deeper pot for that. If you're growing red lady papaya, mas malaki pa yung pot mo. So ito po yung mga kailangan yung i-alam before you start your garden.
Yeah, you mentioned the tomatoes. Now, some people, they tell me, Sito, I just threw the seed in the ground and there I have a beautiful tomato. And I said, I spoiled these stupid tomato plants like babies and they die. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah, so, well, that's lucky of them that they have the proper environment for the tomato to just grow healthy and everything. But for other people, you need to have the basics, the one that I mentioned a while ago. Meron ka bang proper sunlight? Kasi yung mga tanim ninyo, kailangan po talaga ng arawan yan. Hindi lang pwede shaded or indirect sunlight yan. Kailangan arawan. Second is yung tubig and yung fertilizer ninyo. Are you feeding it fertilizer? Are you giving it the proper nutrients for it to fruit and to have that good quality taste that you're expecting? And then also, you need to, again, test the soil, or if you're doing container gardening, use the proper medium for your plants.
Is there such a thing as an over-rich soil? Or kasi may mga, di ba, there are certain hobbies where you're making it too strong. But in planting, in urban farming, is there such a thing as, I want to put compost, I want to put charcoal, I want to put topsoil, etc. Kumbaga, na-overdose ba pag masyadong rich yung soil?
Yeah. Actually, well, one, it's not necessary. Wag kasi extra cost din yun if ang dami yung nilalagay na pang-enrichment. Actually, if you use compost, okay na yan. Compost with your soil, okay na yan, i-mix nyo. Wag nyo I think it's not bad, but it's extra cost for you.
Okay, so there's no such thing. What are the mistakes that many urban farming enthusiasts commit? Kasi you've given us all the proper approaches, correct size of container to the size of plant, using proper soilless medium for container plants, getting the easy plants first, or planting what you consume or you want to consume. But in terms of mistakes, what are the mistakes? Because I tell some people you overwater your plants. That's why your plants are dead.
Yeah, okay. Well, some of the mistakes are this. People forget, one, may pests and diseases. So when they start planting, nagugulat na lang sila. Oh, what is this? Parang namamatay na yung plant ko. Or two, there's also the overwatering or underwatering. Usually, that's why I mentioned a while ago, you have to check your soil or your medium, if it's still moist or not, because we're living in a very hot climate. If you touch it and it's dry already, half day pa lang, water nyo na. And then third, sunlight. I think that's still an issue. People don't put it in the proper area to get proper sunlight. Sometimes it's because that's the only location they have in the house to place their plants. But again, if that's the case, you will really not get the quality produce that you want. So you still have to choose location.
Yeah, Bambi, how do I tell, or how do we tell if a plant needs direct sunlight or if a plant needs a shaded area? Because I have a plant wall along my stairwell inside the house. and I'm using grow lights. It's call it my only vice in life. I want to prove that it can be done,
Yeah.
and it turned out that it can be done. My plants are growing. They cost money for constant fertilization,
Mm.
but when I go out on the top of the roof deck, that's why I had to overhaul everything. Sabi ko, ano ba to? Hindi ko malaman which one needs direct sunlight and which one needs shaded area.
Okay. Usually kasi if you're growing vegetables or fruits or flowers even, you need direct sunlight. But it has to come in moderation also, because if you notice, if ikaw pa lang nasa labas ka and then when the sun hits your skin, you're already like suffering. Your plants are the same also. So you have to provide them. You can have a shade net, for example, installed during the morning, early morning. You can have it open so that the sun is able to reach your plants. And then when it gets too hot, especially during the summer, you can have already it drawn para the shade protects your plants from excessive sunlight. It's okay to plant on your roof deck. It's okay. There's no problem. Pero kailangan lang you monitor also when it gets too hot, and then you can draw your shade net.
Okay, well, now for those who are really going to take this seriously, how do they contact you? And do you give? I know you give seminars. At
Yeah.
least I know there was a seminar on hydroponics that I missed. But you have a lot of seminars. How do they find out what's available and when it's available?
I invite you guys to check our website, www.harvest.com.ph, because that's where we post our events. That's also where we have all our contacts, because we have branches also nationwide. So you can check if there's a Harvest branch near you, or we can also have it delivered to your place. You can also check our Facebook page, Harvest Agribusiness Corporation. Usually that's really updated with yung mga free seminars namin. And you can even access our old seminars for free in our video section. That's one of the things that I really want to emphasize is Harvest is not madamot when it comes to sharing our knowledge for training. So we do give urban gardening trainings for communities, for schools, for organizations. We also teach farming. So for 25 years na, we've been teaching agri-tech farming to farmers nationwide. And it's recent lang na we started with the urban gardening naman. So
Okay.
we invite you if you want to learn how to plant, you can contact us.
Okay, well, congratulations to your parents, because they have come up with a wonderful product, a wonderful person. Congratulations. Thank you very much, Bambi, and we hope that people will take up your invitation. Have a good day. My regards to your parents.
Thank you so much, Sito. Bye-bye.
Okay, that's Bambi Barcelona, Vice President of Harvest and Harvest Agribusiness Corporation. Please check them out. I go to them for all my needs, and although I have not been consistent, so ngayon, I will be a good student once more. Okay, let's go for a quick break. And when we return, we bring back the Mamacita Foundation here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people have been talking about food shortage, about protecting the environment, etc. And one foundation that we have featured on the program is the Mamacita Foundation. And they have been preserving our culinary or promoting our culinary heritage. But interestingly, they've also been promoting the planting and propagation of many Filipino fruit trees and agricultural products. So let's go back to our former guest who will probably be a regular feature here, none other than the Corporate Communications Officer of Mamacita Foundation, Mr. Alvin Lim. Alvin, welcome back.
Hello, good morning, Chito. Sorry, Cito. Parang Mamacita nga pala, no?
Okay, well, welcome back, and let's continue our discussion. Last time na nag-usap tayo, you were talking to us about the foundation's activities on promoting culinary history, promoting the fruit trees, etc., like makopa, etc. Now, what I don't think I actually was able to touch much on it was the stories. There is this thing about that this whole thing started with culinary stories, kwentong kusina.
Mga kwentong pagkain.
Yeah.
Kasi the Mamacita Foundation basically is an organizational embodiment of who Mamacita was. And si Mamacita was a kusinera, mother, di ba? And she helped out her mom, in buying stuff from the market, okay, to feed her siblings then, and cooking for them. Okay, so yan yung yan yung experience niya. And nagkataon dun sa personality niya, medyo mahilig siya magkwento, mahilig din mag-document ng mga recipes, no? So she was very passionate about food. Kaya in the same way, yung Mamacita Foundation parang sort of has the same we would say mga passion, no? We're trying to parang perpetuate the passion of Mamacita. So, and it has 4 components. Okay. So, in fact, if you look at the mission vision, I'll just read it for a while. Okay. So there are 4 components. First is the socioeconomic development aspect. Parang to assist in the upliftment of the economic situation of Filipino family enterprises and to develop food technology, food service, and good housekeeping skills for sharing to interested enterprising individuals and families. So yun yung one aspect, teaching people how to cook and how to make a food business. In line with that, even the growers of produce and the food that we eat. Okay, so secondly, there's this natural resources, environmental and ecological advocacy. Okay, and that where farming also comes in. Okay, so the exact phrasing doon sa mission statement is to develop an integrated training and ecological resource management system that highlights Mamacita's values, and those values are about preserving the environment and making sure we have food, because the environment is still good enough to produce. Parang okay nga yung topic nyo kanina, di ba, about urban farming. Well, this is about urban and rural farming. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you were reading the mission statements.
Yeah.
The nasabi doon because people may not see the connection.
Yes.
10 years ago, you guys started a storytelling competition
Oo.
where you gathered all of the stories related to our culinary heritage
Yes.
and how what was involved in the process, etc.
Yes.
And kumbaga sinasalin at pinapasa sa lahi yung ating
Sa lahi.
mga paraan ng pagluluto.
Yes.
And by doing that, those who read and try out what has been shared in the stories are able to produce products, culinary products, which they in turn get to sell. Because I for one, I traveled quite a lot before pandemic, and now we're starting to pick it up again. I noticed that punta ka sa gasolinahan, you go to a gasoline station, there will always be some store that sells culinary products, from chicharon, bagoong to chips and whatever. And these are all part of our history, correct?
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, okay. Now, how does your storytelling competition end up? I mean, ano ba ito? Does it end up in books, prize money, etc.? Or meron ba silang like with Go Negosyo, they end up with a sari-sari starter kit?
Well, there is prize money. No, actually, for the latest one, and it's the deadline is October 31, 2022. So you still have a few months to write up your story. So these are the mechanics. So you write a story about a regional or provincial food heritage. Okay, it can be a dish, it can be ingredients, practice, beliefs, etc. Okay, and then there should be visuals. Okay, so there are video entries, so pwedeng may videos. So videos help capture traditions and recipes that would otherwise be difficult to explain in writing, like the technique itself, how you cook it. And then there's also a photo essay, so similar to essays, but with focus on emphasis on the photos rather than the text. And the total cash prize up for grabs is 80,000 pesos.
Okay.
And this is open to everybody, all ages, no? Whether children, professionals, non-professionals. Okay, and your stories will end up in the Mamacita website. No, if you go to the website, I don't know if I can share it here, but there are all the stories are listed there. So you can click on the icon for each of the stories, and you'd be able to see, like, for example, just one title that I can find here. Adobong biya sa ilalim ng punong mangga. Okay. So that's from Binangonan, Rizal, no? An entry from Binangonan, Rizal.
Yeah.
So somebody wrote about the amazing balot. Okay, so Zapateros. Okay.
Yeah. What about abroad? Kasi we have in our last conversation, there are Filipino communities, and you mentioned that Mamacita Foundation also reaches out to Filipino communities abroad. Now, how do they get involved, or how do you involve them?
Well, they can still join. This is open to everybody, all Filipinos anywhere. No?
Pero meron bang culinary stories doon? May lumalabas ba? Do they come up with, the Italian-Filipino version of adobo or of pancit palabok or something like that?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's this popular chef in ano nga ba yung lugar ng mga mafia? Sorry. Sa Sicily.
Sicily,
there's a popular Filipino chef there who somehow made fusion cuisine out of Italian and Filipino. So, well, he's a professional, and I think that restaurant is pretty popular. I don't know if he wrote about it yet, so it's not part of the Kwento Pagkain, but that can be a part, diba? And even the OFWs, ang dami-daming OFWs all over the world, di ba?
Yeah,
And,
because I remember on I think my second trip to Holland or third trip, na pabarkada. Well, I mean, I was greeted by a Filipino who was working in a restaurant, and short story is said, "Sir, pasyal ka naman sa amin. Please join us for lunch, at least so we can catch up on what's happening in the country." So I said, okay, I'm free, so I'll go visit. And I had to go from The Hague to Rotterdam. And when we got, medyo malayo-layo yun. Pagdating sa Rotterdam, salmon, Norwegian salmon sa miso.
Yun.
And back then, nobody ever heard of salmon sa miso. Now, common na. But back then, walang gumagawa. Sabi ko, ang yayabang naman ninyo. Norwegian salmon sa miso. Sir, marami niyan dito eh.
Alam mo, Zito, I studied cuisine in France, and what I found out was that they discarded all those ulo.
Yeah.
So, ang galing ng Pilipino, di ba? Parang sisig, ganyan din yung food story. Di ba? Mga discards dun sa Pampanga, ginawa ni Aling na sisig. So, yung mga salmon and buntot actually. Di ba? Kasi, pinifillet nila yung mga salmon dun sa Europe. Yung mga ulo at saka yung buntot, walang use sa kanila. Kaya, yan naman ang ginawa nating sinigang sa miso. So, mura, pero masarap, di ba?
Okay, now if you were watching our interview with Bambi Barcelona, and napag-usapan nga namin that urban farming is going to be a much needed option because of the food shortages that are being discussed or announced by global leaders. Hindi na ito sabi-sabi, reality na ito. Now, as far as the Mamacita Foundation is concerned, you have been busy promoting the propagation of fruit trees, etc. But what other activities are you doing? Kasi hindi na ito usapang culinary heritage. This may reach a point where it's a subsistence or survival diet.
Yeah. Well, thankfully, maraming efforts na rin naman. I guess all the food companies are kind of aware of this problem. That's why everybody would like to support farmers. Okay? Pero Mamacita itself has are working with some farms para to make sure that we get the raw mats that we need to produce our products. Okay, may mga nag-approach na rin dito nagtatanong ano ba yung mga pwede nilang itanim, and yun nga, if you want to go commercial, we have requirements, for sabi mo nga calamansi, di ba? Yung tamarin para sa sinigang, guava for sinigang din, atsuete. One thing that's very difficult to source right now is siling labuyo.
At pinagtatawanan ako ng mga tao sa Batangas, sa Lipa, when I keep trying to propagate labuyo because they say, ilang ba makakain mo niyan? Isang piraso lang, nasusobrahan ka na. But they don't understand that I was trying to preserve the genuine siling labuyo.
Well, not just preserve, and you can actually earn from it. Okay, because one of the top-selling items of Mamacitas is the labuyo hot sauce. Okay? And I don't know if you encounter, if you experience getting it from trying to purchase it. Sometimes you can't because we can't source enough of the material. So maybe isa lang ang kailangan mo for kung lalagay mo dyan sa if you're just thinking of the people in Batangas, di ba? But it's a product that's popular worldwide. So there's an opportunity there.
Well, that's interesting. Talking to you, I'm getting motivated. I realize calamansi is a me, I'm no longer buying juices. I use my own calamansi juice.
Yeah, very good.
Now, yung siling labuyo, at least you're validating that I wasn't insane or
Yes.
crazy, or I'm trying to protect this. This is ours, and we should protect it bago makidnap na naman ng Taiwan o ng kung anong bansa.
At so masarap siya. It's hot and it's also tasty. Okay? So
Okay.
I hope you can you have some success in doing that.
I'm just primarily having fun, pero mukhang kailangan ng paramihin yan. But okay, I just saw here that you're going to have that you have events abroad.
Yeah.
Bakit pati sa abroad, meron sa Hawaii, sa Toronto, Canada, etc.
Yan nga, kasama rin yan sa advocacy ng Mamacita, yung culinary preservation. It's not just preservation, cultural preservation. It's also promoting Filipino culture, not just here but abroad, Kasi yun nga, marami rin tayong mga Filipinos abroad, and of course, pag mas nakilala ng mga ibang lahi ang Filipino food, and Filipino culture, it's an opportunity for our businessmen here locally.
Okay.
Diba? We can sell more food.
There is now, and maybe because I'm doing it also, there is now a trend going to plant-based cooking or plant-based diets. And then also in the US, a few years back nauuso na yung slow cooking, because I just saw in the video that you presented, meron gong naiinip ka na ba, malapit na. And that was my point. Many Filipinos now want instant or easy to cook. They don't understand the value and the benefits of slow cooking and plant-based cooking. What's Mamacita Foundation doing about that?
Well, as far as plant-based cooking is concerned, we give options, recipes to convert, kung sinigang, paano kang gagawa ng plant-based sinigang, kaldereta, adobo, etc. Sa slow cooking naman, well, syempre, ang Mamacitas nga dito, we try to make cooking easier for you, di ba? Kaya para hindi ka mainip, Kasi the reality of some of our households now on a weekday, di ba? Kung yung both parents are working, and wala kang help, then medyo mahirap to do the slow cooking way. Pero pag weekend, then when you have time, then that's the time that you can try out cooking things from scratch. But
actually, that's an idea, Alvin, because my wife and many European friends, what they do is they cook on the weekend, and they cook double portions.
Yes.
So that sometime midweek, they just take out of the freezer, luto na slow cook na, iniinit na lang sa microwave.
Oo nga. Kasi walang oras di ba? During the weekday. So yun. But just in case, you want to spice up your cooking, then that's where our products come in. Diba? So, well, hindi lang siya food mixes. We also have vinegar, we have condiments. So parang those are things that you can add to your cooking to make them tastier and taste like authentic Filipino.
Yeah, in fact, that's what our resource person yesterday shared. She was saying, Ms. Tamayo was saying that you use plants or plant-based material, but you still need to flavor to taste.
Yes, that's right.
Yung fundamentals is plant-based, pero gagamit ka ng flavoring para hindi ka naman para kang kalabaw o bakang kumakain ng damo.
Walang timplang damo. Budbula ng asin.
Okay. Anyway, again, this conversation just gets always runs out of time. But you've at least na-announce mo na yung inyong competition. Pakiulit nga, when is the competition?
The deadline is October 31, 2022. If you want to check out the stories, you go to the website of Mamacita, and just on the homepage, you scroll down, and there's a link to the mga kwentong pagkain. No? And I'll share you this QR code. This is the link to the submission page. No? So I don't know if you can actually scan it from here, but
yeah, just go to the Mamacita Foundation webpage.
You go to the webpage, and you'd be able to figure out how to join.
Yeah, and if you have interesting stories like Sito Beltran, who uses sili buyo on bulalo, etc.
Tama. You can make a story out of that. Sali ka na rin.
Okay.
Malay mo, 80,000 din yun.
Pero rin yan. Okay.
Oh, di ba?
Yeah. Well, Alvin, thank you very much, and congratulations to the Mamacita Foundation. At least today we gave you justice na medyo we gave enough time to the subject matter. Thank you very much.
And I hope to see you again.
Okay. Okay, that's Alvin Lim, Communications Director for the Mamacita Foundation. And we thank you for sharing that information here. Now, let's go to our blessing for this week. It is from the book of Colossians, chapter 3, verse 17. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. Please spend this weekend reflecting on the blessings of the Lord and not complaining. Kasi kahapon medyo na-rebuke ako ni Lord na I was complaining about so many things happening, and the Lord said, well, at least people come to you for help and not you going to them for help. So I'm thankful for the Lord for that privilege, and I hope you are as well. Please include us in your prayers. God bless all of you. Have a great weekend. And God willing, we will see you next week. And maybe then, medyo baka mag-shift na tayong konti to current affairs, because this week it has been very difficult getting people in government and politics, because everybody is running around trying to figure out what the plan will be for the next 6 years. I'm Sito Beltran, and that's Agenda for the Week. Please keep it here on One News PH.